$1 facility have all gone down the drain. A natural gas explosion rattled a West Side neighborhood today and sent a man to the hospital.
And that's when I heard the sound, the big loud noise, the boom. The car shook a little.
And in Washington, the House debates the articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump.
Now, Lee Sosley, Katia Udiarte, Chief Meteorologist Dale Nelson, Sports Director Alan Harwell. This is Chris 6 News at 6.
Good evening, I'm Lee Sosley. Katia has the night off. At the top, the Alice City Council has finally pulled the plug on that city's indoor natatorium. The pool, of course, has been a source of controversy there since it opened back in 2016. But as Greg Chandler tells us, there was nearly a deal to keep that pool open.
The city had hoped that Alice ISD would take over the natatorium, and the two sides were seemingly close to a deal. However, that deal fell apart, potentially closing this multi-million-dollar facility for good.
And we were pretty much at a point where we felt good about it.
Alice ISD superintendent says he and the city manager had worked out a deal which would allow the district to lease the natatorium for nearly $60,000 a year. But over Thanksgiving break, Alice's city council rejected the deal and countered with a $100,000 lease.
Once we heard that, it was going to be $100,000, we knew it was going to be a stretch.
There was no deal, so this week the city council voted to close the natatorium and drain the pool.
We didn't receive anything back from Alice ISD, and we're not put on the agenda as far as to go into renegotiate or counteroffer.
But the superintendent says the district didn't receive that counteroffer until hours before Tuesday's council meeting, 8 days after the school board met.
Without a contract in front of us, anything official, we did not put it on the board agenda for the 9th. It was too quick of a turnaround.
That leaves the city of Alice wondering how to cure its multi-million-dollar headache.
This has been in discussions for a very long time. What to do with the facility, where to go from here.
Alice ISD superintendent told me he's still hopeful the sides can work out a deal, but not if the city insists on $100,000 a year. Reporting in Alice, Greg Chandler, Chris 6 News.
Lemire says the outdoor water park, which is part of the natatorium complex, will stay open on a seasonal basis. Well, a woman was hospitalized for smoke inhalation after a Southside house fire. The call for that blaze came in about 8:30 this morning. When fire crews arrived at the house on Jessica Drive, they could see flames coming out of it. Fire contained to the first floor and was quickly put out. There's no word yet on how it might have started. And a man suffered burns in another house fire that occurred around 6 o'clock this morning over on the city's west side. The victim says he was at his home over on Shaw Street when he noticed the odor of natural gas. When he lit a cigarette, the next thing he knew, there was a big explosion and fire. Some of his neighbors say they heard the loud boom.
I was going to work and made the turn, and that's when I heard the sound, the big loud noise, the boom. The car shook a little.
Now, the man who was burned had his hands burned trying to put out the flames. He also had some burns to his neck, but none of those injuries were life-threatening. Everyone got out of that house safely. Most of the damage to the house was to the exterior. Well, folks who rented units at the U-Haul storage facility over on SPID and Scott Stores, were on site today. Now, there was a huge fire there back on Monday, and the building where it happened is a total loss. But what about all the items that were stored there? Here's our Catherine McGinney now with more on that.
It's horrible. It looks like something exploded.
Laura Trejo has been an avid doll collector for years.
Almost all of my collection is in that storage unit. So these aren't the dolls that you buy, on the counter. These are the ones that you order online that are very expensive.
She was in San Antonio when she received a text message about the fire, then saw video of the storage unit online.
I could see the letter C, and I just knew right away that that was my storage unit. From the looks of it from the outside, coming off down the freeway, I'm pretty sure I have a total loss.
Other units were filled with family photos or fine art.
I have about 40 years worth of accumulation, yes.
I saw a comic book collection, still some of the comic books in the plastic wrappings on the ground, but definitely piles of charred items.
For some, it's a total loss, but many others are having to wait to learn the condition of their belongings. Some units were off limits because of safety concerns. The renters of those units will have to come back tomorrow.
What I'm really looking forward to retrieving is my high school Letterman jacket. I was so happy when my mom gave that to me, and I don't know.
My unit looks from the outside to be undamaged. The outside looks okay. It looks untouched. But who knows what the fire did on the inside.
Catherine McGinty, Chris 6 News.
All the property in the damaged units will be moved out and put into other rental containers, and that storage will be offered free by U-Haul. It's also providing manual labor for folks who need it to help clean up the mess.
And we have a developing story tonight in the weather, and that is the freeze warning that's out for the second night in a row. All of the inland sections of the coastal bend, with the exception of the immediate coastline. If you live in the city proper here, it is not expected to freeze, as was the case last night. Officially, we had a freeze out at the airport. Satellite shows clear skies across the region. It'll stay that way all night long throughout the area, as you can see here. So again, not a lot happening with the freezing conditions. With the clear skies, it's 50 degrees right now in Corpus Christi, 52 in Robstown, only 47 in Rockport. Very light winds, but they're turning off the water, which will have an influence on our temperatures overnight. And we'll be at 38 at 7 in the morning. The low here will be 35. 65 will be the afternoon high, but clouds are on the increase. Does that mean rain? In a few minutes, I'll have your complete forecast right here. Lee?
Well, authorities have released the names of the 3 men who were murdered in a Flower Bluff home last Friday night. They've been identified as 49-year-old John Wayne Hughes, 59-year-old Stephen Romine, and 39-year-old James Tennant. Police discovered their bodies when investigating a reported burglary at a home on Clairide Street. Miles Dingman and Benjamin LeBlue were both charged with capital murder in this case. Police have not given a possible motive yet for that triple homicide. Well, tonight, 6 Investigators takes a closer look at a Corpus Christi Port Commissioner and his educational background. Now, according to the port's website, one of the commissioners graduated from a well-known university with an engineering degree. But when we contacted the university to double-check, that claim is unfounded. 6 Investigator Randall Kemp joins us now with the details. Randall.
Lee, he's one of the commissioners appointed to run the Port of Corpus Christi, and as you can see, his bio reads Pennsylvania State University graduate with a Bachelor's of Science degree in petroleum and natural gas engineering. But as we uncovered today, it's not true. According to the Penn State Records Department, Wayne Squires was a student in State College, Pennsylvania from the fall of 1973 to the fall of '79. He was last enrolled in the petroleum and natural gas engineering program. However, he did not graduate. Very different from the claim of both graduation and degree from Penn State, which was made on the Port of Corpus Christi website. We reached out to the port and requested an on-camera interview with Commissioner Squire so he can tell us why his bio doesn't match with his true educational credentials. We haven't heard back. Randall Cam, 6 Investigates.
Now, Mr. Squire's appointment to the Port Commission runs until 2021. We have continuing coverage now on today's History in the Making on Capitol Hill. Articles of impeachment against President Trump are up for a full vote by the House. Members followed party lines this afternoon as they clashed over the final vote on impeachment. Democrats hold the majority there in the House, and nearly all of them are expected to vote to impeach the president on the grounds that he abused his power and obstructed Congress. Republican members all spoke in defense of President Trump.
The president committed constitutional crimes. The president's crimes are impeachable. I believe this is the most unfair, politically biased, rigged process that I have seen in my entire life.
Now, if the articles of impeachment are approved, it will be the only 3rd time in American history that a president has been impeached. The next step would be a trial in the U.S. Senate, and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is promising a speedy trial next month that's expected to end in acquittal. The victims of human trafficking will no longer be hidden in darkness. Up next, we're going to tell you about a new billboard campaign that's shining a light on them.
Chris 6 News is brought to you by NAC Co-op Energy, your not-for-profit electricity source for home and business. Now, Chris 6 News at 6 continues.
Human trafficking is a major problem along the Texas-Mexico border, and a statewide campaign to focus attention on that problem was unveiled today here in Corpus Christi. The campaign features digital billboards like this one over on North Pyron Drive near the Highway 44 interchange. The Can You See Me campaign is designed to help the public recognize the signs of human trafficking. The billboards also have a hotline number that you can call to report suspected trafficking.
Victims ask us and survivors ask us, can you see me? And we're saying, yes, Texas sees you and we want to help you.
Now, these billboards have been put up in 6 other cities across the state. This will eventually become a nationwide campaign. It will also be featured on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Well, every student over at Calk Wilson Elementary School given a priceless gift today. They received the gift of literacy. Over 1,000 books were passed out at the school's Magic Reading event. The school partnered with State Representative Todd Hunter and Councilmember Paulette Guajardo to help raise more than $5,000 to buy all those books.
They were just absolutely overjoyed with the fact that they have a book of their very own. It doesn't stay here at school, goes to their house, and so we're promoting reading for every single child.
That's a great idea. Teachers handpicked each of these books and wrote a personalized message for each of their students. Well, the Hans and Pat Suter Wildlife Refuge will get a makeover next month. The Parks and Recreation Department announced plans today to remove invasive plants from that 72-acre park. And it's made possible thanks to a city partnership with a nonprofit organization called the American Conservation Experience. The 5-week project scheduled to start on the 6th of January. Well, there was lots of hooting and hollering last night when the final episode of The Voice ended. Corpus Christi native Jake Hoot won the competition, along with the hearts of a bunch of brand new fans.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, mic check, 1, 2, 3, mic check, mic check, mic check. AT&T Stadium. You still need a beauty bump, right?
And welcome back. The historic Fulton Mansion is once again open for public tours. The home and museum were both damaged by Hurricane Harvey, and they were closed for more than 2 years for a massive restoration. The cost to restore the mansion was close to $1 million. Now, FEMA covered most of that, but there were also significant private donations. Texas entrepreneur George Fulton built the house way back in 1877. Well, Corpus Christi native Jake Hoot was one of 2 singers left standing at the end of NBC's The Voice last night, and here's how season 17 ended.
The winner of The Voice is
All right, a little bit of drama there. Everybody was hooting and hollering for Hoot at the end of the show. The 30-year-old divorced father won the grand prize that includes a record deal and $100,000.
It's an incredible moment. Like, I never thought I'd ever be in the finals, much less, winning it. I never thought I would ever be able to do music full time. And so looking at it now, I mean, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Well, I bet he is. Hoot will sing the national anthem at the Carolina Panthers' final home game a week from Sunday. And in case you're wondering what Hoot did for a living before, well, he was a sales rep for a radio station.
6 Weather is brought to you by Aztec Chevrolet in Beeville. Visit AztecAutoplex.com. Now, the most accurate weather forecast in South Texas with Chief Meteorologist Dale Nelson.
Welcome back. That was an incredible moment last night for Jake Hoot. As far as our Aztec Chevrolet forecast goes, it was cold last night. In fact, we set the all-time record low of 29 degrees back in 1979, tying that record, and the coldest temperature of the year so far officially in Corpus Christi. The lows were down to 28 degrees in George West and Kingsville, 32 in Falfurrias. Numerous locations dropped to 29, but it was 42 near the water at the Naval Air Station and 39 in Port Aransas. Rockport was 36. A freeze warning is out again tonight, as we saw earlier in the show. It only involves the inland areas. If you live in the central part of the city or south side, you're not included in that. Very low humidity and clear skies are going to be responsible for the quick drop in temperature tonight into the low 30s, along with light winds. And needed rain by Friday is in the forecast. And this could be the most substantial rain we've had here in about 6 weeks. Due to radiational cooling tonight, that's why we're going to get so low quickly after being warm this afternoon at 61. The cool air at the surface escapes into the Earth's atmosphere under clear skies and light winds, in spite of the fact they're going to turn a little bit off the water overnight, depending on how much, and that will make for a cold night. The dew point temperatures are very low, indicating very dry air in the region that will eventually moisten up as our winds come in off the water, as they're doing right now. But the future tracker is showing light and variable winds, so this will give our temperature time to bounce around through the 30s tonight and may briefly bottom out in the freezing range in many areas away from the water. By noon tomorrow, though, they'll be out of the northeast, and picking up will be the humidity and then also the clouds with those northeasterly winds. So it starts out sunny, but it'll end cloudy tomorrow. Certainly is on the sunny side now. It's 50 degrees. It'll be 49 in an hour and 42 by midnight, and then dropping on into the 30s. But with the wind coming in off the water out of the north-northeast, that should keep us here in town well above freezing, with morning lows ranging from 35 at the airport to 29 again in George West, 34 for Robstown, but 45 in Port Aransas, 38 in the central part of the city, the south side out to Flower Bluff in the mid to upper 30s. So 38 starting out in the morning, 62 milder and nice at noon, but 62 with more clouds at 5 p.m. 65 will be the high temperature tomorrow, ranging up to 71 in Falfurrias. Dry air here now, but here comes the moisture with this storm system that will be producing rain here on Friday. You can see that on the cloud and rain forecast. Starting sunny, the clouds pick up in the afternoon, they thicken up, and light rain begins on Friday morning and continues through Friday afternoon. Your NEC Co-op Energy 7-day forecast: 35 tonight, 65 Thursday, and then 55 and 66 showers likely Friday, 48 and 58 Saturday. Nice weekend but cool, and then warmer Monday, Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day, 77.
All right, thank you very much, Dale. Tonight, a huge night for the Refugio Bobcats. This is a live picture from AT&T Stadium up in Arlington. The Bobcats will play post for the state title. Alan and Jeff standing by with the pregame report. Stay with us.
Mic test, 1 2 1 2 1.
Mic check, 1 2 3. Mic check, 1 2 3. Mic.